Nobody starts from zero. That's the thing I keep learning every time I go back and trace the thread. You think you started something, a podcast, a business, a creative practice, and then you follow the line backward and realize the roots go much deeper than you ever talked about publicly. Way deeper indeed. Into apartments in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, into a car trunk packed with VHS tapes and Islamic books, into an 11-year-old kid watching his neighbor leave for vacation and thinking, that's because they run a business. This is a story I've never fully told. The one that happened before the blog, before the podcast, before any of it had a name. I grew up in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. My father had gotten a job opportunity there, and our whole family eventually, 5 kids, my mom, my grandmother, made the move from Karachi, Pakistan. One of our neighbors owned a business. I was young enough that I didn't fully understand what that meant. What I did understand was that they seemed to have more vacations, more music playing in the house. Not that we care for music. More of whatever freedom looked like to a kid watching from across the way. I told my dad once, they have more time because they run a business. Well, he didn't disagree. He just kept working because that's what my father did. He worked his entire life. His own father had passed away when he was very young, leaving him, his mother, and a baby sister. He grew up fetching water in buckets every morning so they could wash. He clawed his way into a career as systems analyst and programmer for mainframe computers at a national bank. He moved his family to Saudi Arabia for a better opportunity. He did not take shortcuts. And I watched all of that. I absorbed all of that, and somewhere underneath it, I also kept that first thought. The neighbor ran the business and had more freedom. Both things became a part of me. My mother was the other education. Growing up in Riyadh, we didn't have the internet. We had television, but it was only on from 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. And then the TV crew just went home. If you needed to know how to do something, fix something, make something, build something, you either already knew or figured it out. My mother figured everything out. I watched her set up a sewing machine and teach herself to sew. I watched her take a door off of its hinge, lay it across the dining table, and trim the bottom with a jigsaw because it was dragging on the carpet. I watched her set up booths at school festivals where she'd sell things we'd made or sourced. She got involved in every activity. She found a way. I didn't understand at that time that this was teaching me anything. I thought I was just watching my mom. But the thing that was getting installed was the belief that if a problem exists and you have the tools available, you solve it yourself. You don't wait for someone to do it for you. When I look at what I build now, Pod Glue, Home Studio Mastery, it's the same impulse. There's a problem in front of me and I could see the shape of the solution. Let me just build it. That started in Riyadh. An apartment floor in a third floor apartment, watching my mom and a jigsaw. In my mid-teens, I had 2 options to go. By my mid-teens, I had 2 options. Go to Pakistan for university or find a way to the United States. My mother's siblings had all migrated to the US. Her oldest brother came in the 70s and started filing petitions so the rest of the family could follow. My father had one condition. I had to read the entire Quran in Arabic and in Urdu translation, side by side from front to back. Not recitation, which I had done many times. Translation. understanding, the meaning sitting next to the words. So I read it. By the time I finished, our green cards had come through. We arrived in the United States in 1995. I was 19 years old and I had an Islamic education, a father's work ethic, a mother's DIY instinct, and approximately zero knowledge of how anything in America actually worked. That was fine. I was ready to learn. My first job in the US was data entry at a place that put tracking chips in animals, pets essentially. I discovered that I was allergic to cats. I filed that information away and moved on, even though I loved cats. My second job was cold calling at Sound Vision, a Muslim company that sold Islamic books, videotapes, and educational materials by catalog. I was signing people up for subscriptions. But the job that actually woke something up came through my uncle. My manager at Sound Vision said, I can get you inventory on consignment, Islamic books, VHS tapes, CDs. You take them to the mosque on Fridays, set up a table, and you keep a margin on whatever you sell. My uncle was immediately in. So every Friday, our car trunk was packed with merchandise. We'd set up a table in front of the mosque. People would stop after prayer and browse. I was talking to people, making change, figuring out what sold and what didn't. I was 19 or 20. Nobody called it entrepreneurship. We just called it hustling. I mean, I was learning the mechanics of finding a product, finding an audience, showing up consistently, and building trust with people who would come back the following week. I was also designing the flyers for the booth in Microsoft Word, printing them, distributing them, doing the marketing because I knew how to use the computer. The seed was in. I just didn't know what was growing. On February 1st, 2000, I registered humblezone.com. It was a placeholder for something I didn't know how to name yet. A claim, a flag in the ground that said, I'm going to build something. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm saving the spot. I would take another 4 years before I started blogging, another 18 before I fully understood what the whole research operation was actually producing. The domain was registered. The decision was made. There's a version of the Hacks and Hobbies origin story that starts in 2018 when I recorded the pilot episode. That version is technically accurate and almost completely wrong, because the real origin story starts with a neighbor who ran a business and always had more vacation. It runs through a mother who trimmed doors with jigsaw and never waited for someone else to solve a problem. It passes through a 1995 arrival in a country where I knew nobody outside of my family and had to build everything from scratch. The mosque booth taught me to show up. The flyer design taught me marketing. Watching my father type taught me what fluency looks like. Reading the Quran cover to cover before getting my green card taught me that commitments have weight. Every episode of Hacks and Hobbies, every discovery call, every studio consultation, it all came from that foundation. I was always going to end up here. I just had to travel the whole distance to see it. If this resonates, if you've been building something for years and you're still not sure how all the pieces connect, stick around. This is a series. The next video is about how I got into video. The one after is about ideas that got away, and they all lead somewhere. Make sure to subscribe to Hacks and Hobbies so you don't miss the next one. The link is in the descriptions. Thanks for watching. Be sure to subscribe to this channel on YouTube so you don't miss the next one. The link is in the description. And thanks for watching. If you're ever interested in learning more about the podcast, head on over to hacksandhobbies.com and subscribe to this channel so you don't miss the next video. Again, thanks for watching.